What's going on? It's your boy Masta B here, live from the MMB Radio Studios for the MMB Radio Podcast, where no topic is too big or too small. We talk about them all. And on the phone lines, I'm going to welcome in a woman who is calling us all the way from the Great White North up in Canada. Yes, that's great. The MMB Radio gets to go international. I mean, if it's only, close borders, but it's still international in my book. I want to welcome in right now, self-proclaimed snap hoe, Miss Scarlet Summer. Scarlet, what's going on? Welcome to MMB Radio.
Hi there, hon. I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here chatting with you.
And I appreciate you taking some time to talk to us. I mean, one thing I say, calling all the way from Canada, which is really cool and dope that we're able to do something like this through the power of the internet, that we can just, connect with people in different countries. But I also noticed when we were scheduling this, I didn't realize today was 420, and 420 is kind of a big deal for you, and we'll talk about that, right?
Of course, yeah, for sure. We'll cover that.
But first things first, I want to talk about is, so you have, I guess you're what they consider an adult entertainer. And an adult entertainer, I think that the term of adult entertainer has transcended and changed so much from the early days. Like adult entertainer can almost mean anything, I guess, of the sexual nature. And you and me were talking a little bit off air, and you considered yourself like a sex worker. But what is it that you do in the adult entertainment realm?
Alrighty, so I originally, when I was a little baby bean at 18, getting into the industry, I started out doing webcam work, like my free cams, Chatterbait, that fun stuff. But as it progressed, I noticed that there was more of a demand for premium Snapchat, so that's kind of where I started taking my route with my sex work. So I've been doing premium Snapchat probably around, I'm saying we're close to 3 years now on that. And then I also do my OnlyFans. I have a Pornhub account, ManyVids. So I mainly do amateur videos and OnlyFans. I like doing the clip sites, and I like doing my nudes, and I love having people watch me get fucked, honestly. So, yeah, I don't know. I like to do a little bit of it all, but I just like to have my ass on the internet.
And everybody that's listening that is like Googling your name right now and checking out all your social media accounts, they're all thanking you for being, who you are. But one of the things I want to note too is that, like I said, people tend to think, when you say adult entertainer, people think, traditionally, porn, whether it be, DVD or, shooting movies and stuff like that. Now, I know you're not supposed to ever ask a woman how old they are, but how old are you?
I am 21. My actual 22nd birthday is on the 1st of May, so just about 22 years.
Just about 22 years. So I guess where I'm leading with this question is, so being relatively young, you figure in the States here, it's like you have to be 18 years of age. I don't know, we know what the deal is in Canada, but I'm assuming it's about the same.
Same thing,
to be
18.
To be an illegal adult at 18. You tended to come up in a time where, the internet was kind of like your way into the adult industry, whereas we've had guests on the podcast that are I consider OGs in the business that have where I've had people that have been on that when they first got started it was like VHS tapes, and I mentioned VHS tapes to people now, and people are like, what the hell is a VHS tape?
Yeah, who has those anymore?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Like
people
people your age don't even know what a VCR is. So you kind of came up in the age of the internet. But before that, what was like your exposure to, porn or pornography growing up? Did you, were you always curious as a kid?
Honestly, definitely very curious as a kid. I was definitely more like out there with my sexuality, even when I was in high school, always wilding out. But I found that porn was always something that we found access to on the internet. But I do remember being younger and like my dad having all the Playboy magazines, all of that. And I grew up around the shops where we saw those girls that were posing. And you saw the adult film that was advertised in the back rooms when you were younger, and you actually had you had to go in and rent a DVD in that black curtain room at the smoke shop or whatever. So I've definitely seen that whole aspect, but I think the thing that really got me into it is honestly I had stumbled across campsites once or twice because you as a young kid are typing curiously into the internet, and that's honestly, I think that was just completely shoved in my face from day one. As soon as I could, it was always something being sexualized there. But I definitely, I don't know, I grew up watching the naked news and all that stuff when I was way younger. Definitely remember catching that stuff and things. But I don't know, it was all around different exposure, but I'd say for sure the internet mainly was it. And I had older peers that kind of were dipping into it, dipping their toes in the water, being like, oh, look at what I found here. So that really influenced it a little bit too.
Now I'm going to play the role of the ignorant American here because we all like have this like stereotype of what people are like in other countries, and we think that you see other countries or you hear a name of a country and you're like, oh, they're so far behind us, and it's just really not. Like there's so much similarities between us here in the States and in Canada, but I automatically just assume like Canada's so much more laid back, so much more conservative. Like, what is the porn life like in Canada? I mean, here in the United States, it's fucking bonkers. Like, I mean, you got AVN, you got Exotica, you got all these conventions and these big, all these production companies and everything. What's Canada's porn life like? Like, I always just seems like it's like a laid back, chill people that wouldn't be caught dead watching.
Yeah, see, and that's something I've noticed, honestly, in my experience, especially, like, obviously looking through porn now, like, watching it myself, going through research, and I've watched a couple things to do, like, documentaries porn-wise, and every time I've noticed, most girls, even from Canada, if they want to film proper porn, like the typical, like, we're talking, like, Bang Bros, all those kind of, like, the actual porn sites as well that are getting put onto your Pornhub, all those other ones, you are coming down to the States to do it. There's not really many companies in Canada that I've noticed myself personally or ever had reach out that, are Canadian-based that are like, hey, we film here. I've heard of some down in Vancouver. I'm like, where am I located in BC? Down in Vancouver. And but other than that, honestly, more often than not, any of my girlfriends that are, because I'm from a very remote location. Like, I live up in the boonies. The town I'm from has like 11,000 people in it. So I live like in the remote areas of Canada. But a lot of my girlfriends that do live further down south and stuff too, it's the same thing. I find that they're either traveling all the way to the other side of it, towards the East Coast around Toronto area, but there's not many like companies that I've heard of that do any porn or anything like that around here. It's mainly all, we have like one taboo convention in Vancouver that I know of, but I always see AVN, all these different award shows in the, like in the States, and that's just somewhere I want to go so bad. But I had to wait anyways because for us, like, we're legal drinking age and legal partying age at 19, but then it's like coming to the States, it's like such a different barrier. So when I was doing sex work at a younger age, I'd had so many people that would reach out to me at a young age being like, hey, I want to come film here, and it looks so fun. But I'm like, oh, I wouldn't even be able to go out to half the bars or anything you guys are going to anymore. So it's a little different that way too.
Again, like I said, it's the ignorant American in me because I always consider when someone says Canada, I say, okay, there's Toronto, and then there's the rest of the woods. Like you said, the boonies. Like I just like, for some reason, I just always picture like nothing but like big trees, forests, bears, and like log cabins and hockey. Like that's just all I kind of like.
And see, you're picturing where I'm from 100% because I grew up in like a small Dutch Christian community, like town where we had like 10 churches for the 5,000 people, and it was all like very like, we had ice fishing, we have snowshoeing, like everybody goes up on the ski hill all winter long, snowmobiles, everything. We by no means run around on polar bears or live in igloos, but you're right, the log cabins, that's a very big, like everybody hunts, I come around from that demographic, but if you do, go to Toronto or these other big cities, it is such a change even for me, though I'm like, oh my gosh, little small town girl when I go down there, because it's crazy, like they're nothing compared to, and that's bad for me to say my Canadian self, but nothing compared to what I've seen from like American cities. In all honesty, you guys have some crazy big cities, but I don't know. It's definitely a more foresty, more chill-based up here for sure. It's just gorgeous up here.
Now, I mean, what's the biggest misconception about Canada? Like, what is everybody like? I mean, can I just say that I like hit it like right on the head with my my theory of what Canada is like? Is like, does everybody kind of just assume the same thing about Canada? That's not from there.
Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, they always think that well, first of all, the whole we're super polite thing. 100%, I say. I apologize more than anybody I know. But even, like, the difference from being up in small towns to, like, we're very much like the States in a lot of ways, how we carry ourselves. Like, well, I guess our big difference is, we're more chill because we're completely legalized for weed, so everybody's stoned here. But other than that, honestly, the biggest misconception is just that we live up in the boonies. We all just say, like, A and drink our Tim Hortons and eat maple syrup and do that kind of thing. But other than that, I find that a lot, like, a lot of girls get hyped up. Like, I love Canadian girls, but there are some, and everybody always says like Canadian girls are the best girls for this. And honestly, like I think there's some beautiful like ladies that are from the States as well. Like I feel like that's like stereotype I hear a lot from guys that'll reach out to me from the States. They'll be like, oh, I've always heard Canadian girls are so great. I'm like, we fucking are. But you guys got some pretty nice heaters on you too. So,
we got a lot of plastic surgeons in
other
the
than,
States, so we're able to enhance
and it's a lot cheaper there. Well, I guess we got the currency. You guys have a little bit of a currency raise on us, but it's a lot cheaper there. I've noticed a lot of girls that I meet are like, oh, it was like $3,000 for me to get my tits done, and it's like $7,000 up here.
Canadian tax is crazy, I hear. So I don't know. I don't know what the tax situation is there, but I heard everything's more expensive in Canada. So I guess there's pros and cons to being there. But being in a small little town and community like that, how does one, like growing up, and you said you always kind of been a little curious with your sexuality and everything. How does one live in a small community like that and kind of fly under the radar, or did you not fly under the radar?
Oh, by no means. I did not fly under the radar. So I actually signed up for camming literally on my 18th birthday. I decided, hey, I'm legal. We're hopping on this. I want to make extra money. Like, fuck this. I already take provocative pictures. And, that's what every girl says when they get into this industry and they don't understand that it's so much more than just taking nudes. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I got now. But, I signed up for MFC, and I didn't realize that you can block out the regions, and I was being all ballsy. And within, I think, the first month of me being on this camming website, my nudes were circulating around our high school because I had yet to have graduated. Well, I guess I've dropped out. But anyways, they started going around. So automatically, such a small town, everybody had known me from elementary school to high school. We only had one high school that my grad class in quotations, had 120 to 130 kids in it. Like very small. Whole school was less than 1,000 people. So honestly, right away, I was always kind of known for being more out there. Like everybody's got the hose in high school, and that was definitely one of my things. But that was kind of like the holy, like, she's really
that
out
just
there
kind of
after it
certified
now.
the host status.
Oh, yeah. And then I just rolled with it, honestly. To me, I kind of like to play up the whole girl next door vibe where everybody's like, I knew her from high school, and now I see her up here. So I use my, like, my Scarlet Summer is obviously an alias, but people who know me in real life know my name as well as, hey, you're the Scarlet Summer girl. Like, I have it happen so frequently up here because they'll be like, oh, I saw you there. I definitely have built a little bit of a reputation for myself around here, and it was not the best for a long time, but I feel like in the last couple of years, sex work has really been forward moving, like more like fuck right now. If I could like type in OnlyFans, the amount of girls you are going to see on there, like it's not as taboo anymore. A lot of people are warming up to it. So from when people found out when I was starting to do sex work to now, I get comments that are like, oh, I respect you, like props for you taking like control of your body and making money, like you're doing well for yourself now, as opposed to when I started out, everyone was like, oh, fuck, you're a whore. Like, oh my gosh. So it definitely changed, but I just, like I've always told my friends, word of mouth is always going to be the best advertisement I have. So I definitely manipulated the system with that. And if I drop something on Pornhub, I'd have a buddy from like town over that I like my hometown. They text me and I'd be like, hey, here you go. Here's a link. And it's like the next day someone's like, oh, I got this shared to the group chat. And it's just like, use it systematically. Like that's the way that they're making me more money in the long run. So
it makes your high school graduation seem like a big giant gangbang when you go back.
Exactly. I don't know which one of their wives are going to be letting them come to the high school reunion there. So
now, in high school, like did the teachers like did they all know what you were doing too? I mean, you say it got circulated around. Like, was that kind of weird? Like knowing that people know.
Yeah, it is. Like, there's some things, like, I was very big into dancing when I was younger. I was very, like, competitive dancing, and I did gymnastics at a younger age, too. So there were a lot of these people that I knew in, like, a sense where it was, like, I respected them, and they were younger adults, but they were, like, my employers or something like that. And that was something I only switched to doing full-time sex work for, I think, 2 years ago now. So I used to do serving and stuff, and I would get a job, and no one would really know what I did. And then all of a sudden, that girl would be like, oh, that chick has a Pornhub account, or that chick does this. Like, you guys want to see? And so then the whole shift would know, and then it would change everything. But honestly, at the end of the day, I'm like, gosh, like, regardless if I know someone, there's so many people who have seen me naked. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, I fucked myself on the side of the road with cars passing at this point. I'm like, if y'all are gonna see it somehow, so that's to not give a shit anymore.
Now, did you have a lot of boyfriends in high school, or did you just fuck a lot of guys in high school?
A little bit of both. I was a little sweet, like, as much as I was a hoe in high school, I was a very little sweetheart. Like, I was very good, and, like, country girl at first, like, prim and proper. Wanted to be a lawyer when I graduated, all this stuff, and then it just kind of switched. It was like some kind of hoe stage. I had a boyfriend for a very long time, and then we broke up, and I just started, like, hooking up with dudes that were, like, twice my age when I was, like, 18. Just right into hoe stage, but high school, yeah, like, it kind of fluctuated. I've always kind of had a boyfriend or something to keep me company, and then I go back into my hoe stage and accumulate a lot of notches in between. But I don't know, it fluctuates. I personally, like, with my job and what I do now, I like to either be single or I have to have somebody who's willing to film or be okay with me filming with others. Otherwise, no, I have to be single to do my host stuff because there's not a lot of people that want to see me.
You mentioned you were with guys that were twice your age. Where do you meet guys at twice your age?
Honestly, especially in small towns, the internet is another thing. It's like, being a younger girl, you get so many older men that'll approach you. I've had guys that have approached me through Instagram. Honestly, when I got my Tinder, we're looking for sugar daddies out here. Let's be real. So my Tinder was set to, I think, like 50 or something plus, and I'm 18, so I can only imagine the kind of dudes that were like, holy shit, here's a little 18-year-old and she's got it set to this. So I think, yeah, by the time I was 18, I think the oldest dude I'd hooked up with was somewhere in his 50s, because I was like, you know what, we're trying everything something-wise, like, and I filmed with him porn-wise, too, and that was actually a very popular one. But, yeah, I just found it kind of came out of the woodwork as soon as he turned 18. I remember so many guys that would kind of, like, look at me when I was younger, and I'd see them around town, and then it was, like, his 18th birthday, all of a sudden they were in my Instagram DMs. It's so weird how men have a knack for that.
Yeah, like a countdown clock going and shit, like, May 1st, can't wait.
Right? I remember getting one specific message from a guy because he had asked me beforehand when I was younger. He was like trying to hit me up, and I told him how old I was, and he's like, I'll hit you up when you're 18. Like 3 years later was like, hey, like, looks like you're 18 now. I was like, hey, well, props for effort. I will give you an A on that one.
Damn. Now, one of the cool things too that I noticed is that you have so many tats. When did you start going into the tattoo craze?
So for my tattoo craze, I actually skipped my prom to go and get my first tattoo. So I was also 18 for that. And at that point, I was like a small little one. I got it up on my collarbone. I have Roman numerals up there. So that's my little brother's birthday. I was like, hey, he's a shithead and he annoys me, but I love him. And my mom was like, you're getting a tattoo. Make sure it's something that's going to count. And so I got that. It was like 10 minutes of sitting and it was done. And from that point on, like, I was booking tattoos fucking every, like, 3 to 4 weeks, just getting little ones, like dingers, when, you know, like, everybody's kind of starting to commit. And then all of a sudden it just, yeah, I'd be going in for, like, sitting month after month back and forth. And now it's quite an addiction. I just love them. It's kind of honestly a bit of a stress reliever to go in there too and just relax. I'm friends with my artist, so I'll take like a day trip to go, or like a weekend trip, and I'll go sit for like 2 days with him, and we just get to relax and bullshit and actually catch up. And I don't know, it's definitely, they make me a lot more confident with my body. I feel like I don't even know, I'd look like I was 12 years old without these things in the industry probably, which is a whole nother, you know, I could do the teeny bopper category, but I don't know, I like them for sure. They're addicting, and I was going to get my leg finished off, the one, but with this whole COVID-19 thing right now, we're holding fast on that for now.
Now, let me ask you about being in quarantine and everything. Like, has that sparked more business for you through your OnlyFans and other platforms that you sell your material on?
I honestly find it has, in a sense. There are certain things that I'm finding it's affecting where I have like long-term subscribers that are on my Snapchat who are like the ones who kind of like I have more of a relationship, because I do find that in sex work everyone thinks it's just like, oh fuck, you just like showing your pussy for someone and there's like some creepy old dude. No, a lot of the time they're like, I have some, even if they're older or whatever, I have some very genuine subscribers that send me just like money because they're like, hey, like I want you to go spoil yourself or this, right? So I'm noticing those ones more who are like, oh, I used to incorporate this in my budget, can't really anymore because they're like, oh, I can't go to work right now, so I have to kind of prioritize. But at the same time, I'm noticing because everybody's so bored right now and because so many girls, like, it's OnlyFans, I love it, but it is a very oversaturated market with people. Like, you're always going to make sales. It doesn't matter, but there are so many girls that are doing it now that there's almost always sales on everybody's account. So everybody's running sales right now. Everybody's kind of keeping the traffic going and trying to keep people entertained as long as they can, I think. But I'm noticing branching off, like, I'm sure you've heard of, like, TikTok and all those things. More sex workers are hopping onto apps like that, I think, to get different traction. And I noticed, like, because I'm bored in my house, I'm like, all right, we're going to do this on TikTok. And I've had a few of them that, like, blow up and you get views, and all of a sudden you're gaining, like, 100 subscribers on your OnlyFans that day just because of that exposure. So I do think for sure, it's got some pros and some cons to it, to say the least. I think it's got more pros for some, but, like, for girls that I know, like my friends that are dancers, they're having all of these clubs that are getting closed down and there's no date that's confirmed for them to go back to work, or people that do filming or escorting. I couldn't imagine right now. Like, it's crazy how different forms of sex work are getting affected by it.
And you mentioned about TikTok blowing up. I personally don't have a TikTok, but you know when people are bored, when my father has a TikTok and he's been watching the shit nonstop.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I don't even have a fucking TikTok. Like, honestly, no shade on TikTok, but I don't really have any desire to be on there or even watch, these videos, especially when it's the same video.
And that was my opinion. Yeah, no, they're very repetitive, even in my opinion. Like, obviously, I'm reaping the benefits of this app, but when it comes to, like, I remember getting stoned with one of my buddies one time, and we were sitting there, and he was scrolling through it, and I was like, that's such a stupid fucking app. I don't know why you have it. Like, I refused to have it, because it was, like, blowing up for a while, and I was like, hey, and one of my things that I find is a bit controversial with TikTok is because it's a 13-plus app, I believe. So that's something that when I do, like, I try not to promote my actual sex work on it, the platform, because I feel like there's so many young people still on it, and it's a very young-based app, but there's so many older people that are flooding onto it. But no, I was like, why do you have that? That's so stupid. And we sat there for 2 hours stoned, and we're just scrolling these TikToks, and they're basically like I guess, live memes is the best way to put it. So I was like, hey, I kind of get it. And then the next day I was like at my house, and I was like, holy fuck, I'm downloading this app. What the hell? And now I have it. But I find I still, like, try to avoid it, because every time if I am stoned or something, I'll hop on the app, and then I'm just, like, keep watching these videos that are so, they're so similar. They're so stupid. Like,
if I hear Megan Thee Stallion one more time, I'm going to fucking scream.
What? Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's just like, I keep hearing it's Megan Thee Stallion on every fucking video. Yeah. I'm like, oh my god, make it fucking stop.
Oh my god, savage.
I'm like, please, just make it go away.
Oh fuck yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. No, and it's the worst because I'll be listening to it. My buddy will put on a song, and all of a sudden I'll be like, this is a TikTok song. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, some 14-year-old somewhere is dancing to this and ruining it for me. You have no idea.
That or listening to The Weeknd, like Blinded by the Light.
Oh my god.
Every time I hear it, did you see the TikTok video of, like, the old man that, like, does the dance with, like, his 2 sons or something? It was like this.
Oh fuck no!
It was a TikTok, like, right when this, like, TikTok thing was starting to really fucking blow up, right as this COVID shit was starting to get heavy, and
oh yeah,
and it's just like he was dancing to, like, Blinded by the Light by The Weeknd, and, like, people are like now refer to, like, that song, they're like, oh, that's the TikTok song, and I'm like, no, it's called Blinded by the Light, it's not the fucking TikTok song. But every time I hear that song, I picture is this old dude fucking dancing. I'm like, I can't get that image out of my head now every time I hear that song. So
yeah,
TikTok, you ruined that for me.
Fucking insane, no. Oh, for sure, I know. It's a curse and a blessing.
My father's like, we got to do a TikTok video. I'm like, yeah, I'm not even interested in doing it. I'll be your cameraman, but I don't want to be anywhere in front of the camera.
Yeah.
But being in front of the camera, I mean, obviously, like, you're doing wild and crazy shit in front of the camera. The first time you ever took, nude photos of yourself or did a video, like, how does someone put me in that mindset? How does somebody get through that hurdle of, like, okay, like, I'm gonna do this, and this shit's gonna be on the internet, and once it's on the internet, it's like fucking herpes. It's forever. You can try to suppress it, but it's forever. Like, there's no cure for the internet. So what, like, when you first did it, like, what was your thought process? Like, I'd be fucking terrified. Like, oh my god, like.
Okay, so yeah, like, my family especially is extremely conservative. My grandparents own a jewelry stores. Like, we're very well known in the small town as well. So that was one of my biggest things, I think, was that we're very known, like, our family is known as, like, a very conservative family. So that was, I think, my biggest concern. That I was sitting there being like, holy fuck, like, you know, like, if mom does see this, like, this is, like, I'm going to get my ass handed to me. Like, oh my gosh. But I honestly can say that, like, I personally myself, I am very motivated by money, and I like to be my own boss. So I think I was not thinking about it too much because it was just so appealing, especially being a newbie. When you hop on MSC, you get like this new like a new member or model fucking tag, right? So you have all these people that are start coming in and giving you attention, doing all this stuff, and it almost encourages me more. I had somebody reach out, and I've actually still talked to them to this day, so that's like almost 4 years now of knowing them, and they were one of my first room helpers, and they were just like, hey, like, you're doing great, we just want to help with this, blah, blah, blah. And I found that, like, having a bunch of people encourage you with what you're doing, it kind of eases your mind. You don't really think about it as much. And then all of a sudden shit does hit the fan. You're like, holy fuck, that was permanent. Oh my God. And I think that was more so the first hurdle, is when it did come out, I had to, like, be like, hey, fuck, it's there now. And, like, what are you going to do about it? For the first bit, I was panicking, having my nudes sent to me, being like, holy fuck, holy fuck. And then after a while, it's like the same picture of me bent over in front of the camera, and I'm like, my ass looks mint in that, doesn't it, eh? And they're like, oh, that was not the response I was looking for. And I'm like, well, you're fucking looking at it for a reason, so.
Well, that's the thing that always mind-boggled me, is when people are like, want to be critics and want to, like, shame you, but they're the ones that bring it to your attention first. It's like, okay, so, like, first off, like, did you find it? Or did somebody you know find it and show it to you? And if you want to be critical about it, like...
And you're passed
yeah,
on.
So, like, all right, so you associate with people who look at that stuff. So, like, there's layers to this shit. So it's not like, you know...
Exactly.
I mean, that's my mindset.
It's mind-blowing. I actually had a... Oh, I agree. I had a girl a while ago, actually, because in my spare time, I admin a Facebook group and stuff like that, too, and full of women as caddy, and I love them, but it's fucking shit show, because like 40,000 women in a Facebook group were asking for issues. Anyways, there was a girl that made a remark about what I do for work, and she was like, oh yeah, that stupid bitch went and fucked herself with a sausage, like, going off, and this was relatively recent that this happened, that she made the comment, and she's trying to, like, stir up this shit pot with me. I'll tell you one of the things I'm most known for after this, but she's trying to stir up this shit pot, and then I had to come in and be like, hey, I don't want to be rude, but that time that I fucked myself with a sausage was actually, like, last June, and it was posted very deep down in my many vids, so in order to have found that, you would have had to be scrolling through all of my social media. Like, fuck, first you have to find my own, like, my fucking porn links, find it through that, and then look for a very long time, and then find it and go watch it. Like, I was like, the amount of effort that you put into, like, trying to criticize me about this screams that you were insecure about yourself. And it's just like, it's an obsessive thing that people, I tend to get with me, and I do, like you were saying, I do some wild and crazy things in front of the camera. I find that I like to do it for the wow factor. Like, I fucked myself with a rubber whisk one time, and I have that actually tattooed on my finger. It's one of my, like, iconic tattoos. Part of me and my millennials, or not even millennials, freaking Gen Z speaking, but like, I got it tattooed on myself because I got so much backlash from people who were like, holy fuck, this girl fucked herself with a whisk. Like, oh, like, my favorite line, I still love it and use it myself. They're like, she has to really scramble their eggs, which I thought was fucking hilarious. But the thing is, that day I made so much money. It didn't, obviously, like, some things that people do in sex work, we're not always sitting there being like, oh my God, that was so hot, we love it. It's like, yeah, we did it because it was like a wow thing, and holy shit, people are going to be like the girls that make spaghetti in their assholes or have gone viral for things. Like, do you really think that that's what makes them wet when they're, like, thinking about their fantasies? Like, people get so, like, their panties so fucking twisted about this shit. And so I had, like, it's like what I've had every time my name gets brought up, people are like, oh, that's the girl that fucked herself with a whisk. That's the girl that fucked herself with a whisk. So I went and got it tattooed on my finger. And now every time I'm drinking, and I have a weird habit of lifting my pinky up, so you see it every time I drink. So, but I don't know. I just like to embrace it because I think it's best to just be out there and be yourself, especially in the, like we were discussing kind of before when you and I were chatting. Just, you have to be very confident and, like, in yourself in this kind of industry, and be, like, prepared to, one, like, not really take risks in a sense, but, like, be out there and have fun and do you, and not have to worry about how people are going to view what you're doing. Like, it's sex work. It's meant to be a little bit fucking, like, kinky and crazy.
Yeah, seriously, because, I mean, if it was like everything else, then why would people want to watch? You know what I mean? Like, what's separating it from every other form of entertainment if it's all the same shit.
Literally,
And I kind of
if I was doing the same shit that every boy's girlfriend was doing, they wouldn't be fucking buying my premium as well. That
exactly.
sounds so bad to say, but it's true.
And it's like you said, you kind of have to get into that
Oh,
mindset that like once you start, I kind of feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, I kind of feel like once you get into that mindset, like once you start over analyzing and thinking about what it is that you do and how people perceive you, that's when it consumes you. You know what I mean? Like you just kind of have to kind of just like go
oh,
with it.
exactly. No, and that's the biggest question I get from so many girls is when they're starting out, they're like, or they want to start, they're like, well, how do you deal with how people view you? And I'm like, I honestly, it is the last thing I even think about now at any time of day. Like it doesn't, you just get over it, because if you do think about it, yeah, it completely consumes you. You're constantly viewing it. And the biggest thing is people start talking about how you sell yourself and you're selling your body, and then you start basing your worth off of your prices, things like that. I've seen that with girls, and they're like, oh, my OnlyFans subscription is only $20 a month. Does that mean like I'm worth? And like guys will make that comment being like, oh, she's worth $20 a month then. And it's like, that is not it. And people get into such a mindset when people start speaking down on them like that, or being like, how could your family like love you for what you do, or how could this? And then at the end of the day, people are only like, so many girls need to realize that people are only making these comments because they couldn't do it themselves and they're worried about it and they have their own insecurities. So I'm like, fuck me. Best to not even get into it or think about it and just keep hustling and basically go masturbate or do something else.
I mean, I could totally relate. I mean, as far as having a podcast where, you know, a good majority of my guests, you know, are sex workers, whether they be, you know, cam models or in the adult industry of some form, you know, where it be DVD or doing on, you know, online sites and everything. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, you know, at the end of the day, you may not like morally understand or accept what it is or who I have on my podcast, but I'm not breaking the law. You know what I mean? Like I'm not ensuing
Yeah.
violence. I'm not, you know, I mean, hell, we got a president that is tweeting out crazy shit every day where people react, and it's just like
Literally.
there's people that are getting trampled on and
He's an
protesting.
actual being.
Yeah, you can see the reactions of,
Yeah.
you know, people and the power that people have with their word and everything. And it's like, I'm not promoting hate or anything of violence or negativity in any way whatsoever. You just morally may not like what I do. And that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
I don't judge you because you're, you know, conservative or you come from this religious background or you believe in, you know, that the earth is flat. Like, I don't fucking care. I'm not doing
And
anything
that's the
illegal.
biggest thing. No, for sure. And that's honestly, like, what I say to people, too, is, like, when people judge me for what I do, I'm like, you know what, just because you don't want to do it doesn't make me a bad person. I don't want to be a garbage man. I don't want to do certain, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to do these things. It doesn't make that person dirty, in my opinion, because I don't want to do what they're doing. It doesn't make them a bad person, like, at all. It's just not my cup of tea. And I find that, like, yeah, there's so many people that just have such an opinion and they think that their opinion matters on it, when it's like you could simply just scroll away or turn off the podcast, or you know what I mean, and just avoid it. But we live in such like a poor me generation now, I think, too, that everybody's like, hey, I don't like that, so I'm telling you that I don't like that, and you have to change what you're doing in order to make me feel better about myself.
Exactly.
It's like, no,
The insecurities of some
not my
people,
jam.
they feel like they have to belittle other people to make themselves feel better about themselves. Like I'm gonna
Exactly.
knock you down to my like level, and I'm going to make you feel, you know, my insecurities, so that like some way in their mind they feel that they're on an equal level. And it's just like, you know how I get to that point when I feel like I need to be, you know, better about myself. I don't belittle people. I just turn on like Jerry Springer or like the Maury Povich show. Like I just and I watch those people and I'm like, you know what? Like I feel 100,000 times better about myself because I could be that person that doesn't know who their fucking baby daddy is. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, I know some of that stuff is, you know, I know some of that stuff is scripted, but still, it's just like life's not so bad. You could be, you know, this girl who's just had 20 guys tested on Maury and none of them are the baby dad. It's like, holy shit. Like, how many fucking dudes were you fucking in a 9-month span that you don't know who the daddy is?
Yeah, no.
So.
Exactly. Like, no, and there's so many things like that. Like, people are fucking, their lives are literal shit shows, and I'm just out here fucking myself for a living. Like, ooh-wee. So bad.
It's like, I guess we could just say it's like, it's a controlled shit show. You know what I mean? Like, if you want, like,
exactly.
If people want to, like, criticize and want to be judgmental, it's like, okay, we'll come to a compromise here. We'll just call that I have a controlled shit show. Okay, since you think my life is a shit show and it's so fucked up, it's controlled shit show. That's what I'm gonna roll with.
Exactly. I have a handle on it, so that's what matters.
So, you mentioned it's easier for you to be single in the world that you are, in the business that you are, and I totally understand that. You know, it's funny because we always have this topic come up when we have people that are in the adult industry, and I'm like, what's it like to date in the adult industry? And they're like, most of them say they don't because it always seems like the cool thing at first, and then time goes by and it's like, okay, that person can't deal with this, or it was a cool thing to brag about to their boys that I'm fucking, Scarlet Summer, and
Yeah.
then it becomes, insecurities start kicking in. So,
And that's exactly it too. Right now I am seeing, like, I have a boyfriend right now and he is amazing about what I do. He's down for whatever. He's like obviously not into certain things. Like, he's not a foot guy, but he's like, oh, they want to see a foot fetish? Like, yeah, you can jerk off my dick. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, very open with it right now. He doesn't care. Like, I've always, especially from up here, like where I'm at, it does add to the dating with this because people are like, holy fuck, everybody's seen her. So kind of all the boys know who she is. So everybody can go have a look already. So I've always dealt with guys kind of not wanting to be in my, like from around here, if I'm filming with them and stuff, they don't really want to be in my content or have their face seen because they're like, holy fuck, everybody else is going to know it's me. And then they're subjected to the same shit that I get all the time. And they're like, oh my
and
God,
that's
I could not handle
understandable.
that. And that's something I get. So with this guy, he's actually so open. Like, first of all, he was like, man, I don't, your last Pornhub video, he's like, not even what I want for standard. He's like, we're throwing me up on Pornhub, so like I could be on your Pornhub. Like, totally like okay with it, super open. Like, I actually adore the kid. He's awesome with it. But in the past, I have had guys that, and more often than not, it starts out as, yeah, it's kind of like, oh, it's cool, my girlfriend does this, or like they kind of brag about it to their buddies, and they treat me like, I always get treated like one of the boys at first, and I'm very like, because I find that girls are harder for me to get along with. I do interact with guys more and their buddies. So they'll kind of like send like, say, like a risky snap, or like, because I don't care about nudity, like all of a sudden like we'll be hanging out and I'll be like, oh, like like throw the flash your tits or something like that, and I like make a joke and I'll kind of go with it. And at first it's funny when I'm hanging out with the guy and he thinks it's cool. He's like, yeah, like that's my girlfriend, like she's a porn star, she flashed her tits. And then 6 months down the road, the same comment gets made and he's like, what the fuck, man, you wouldn't like if I said that about your fucking girlfriend. And it's like, I found it's like, where does that line kind of get blurred? And like, I feel like a lot of the time people I've dated have been just not very mature about their communications with how it made them feel, because like I'm never going to tiptoe around someone with my job, but at the same time I'm never like, I don't lie about it. Like I'm always very open when I start seeing someone, so it's always very confusing when they kind of switch your shit up, and that's always what I've dealt with. But no, honestly, this is like the best track record so far with this, and I'm looking
How
forward
long
to
have you
seeing it.
been
But yeah.
with the current guy? How long has it been so far?
We've only been seeing each other for just about 5 months, I guess now. Holy shit. Yeah, just about 5 months we've been together, but it's still like a newer one, and that's my opinion too, but honestly, like the way that he's so open about it. That we have like communicated our certain things. So like with him, he's okay with filming, and I film, like he doesn't mind if I film with other women kind of idea, and I don't mind if we bring another girl in for filming with us, but it's been communicated like, hey, like I'm not really comfortable with you filming with other male partners. And I'm like, that's okay, because I wouldn't be comfortable if you were out just fucking chicks, and I'm getting paid for it, but it's like a communicated thing, as opposed, but like, and we had to have a chat because I had one of actually my favorite porn stars message me a while ago from down in LA, and he was asking if I wanted to work with him and stuff, and that was kind of like one of those things that popped up. But I don't know, I feel like in sex working relationships, I'm always going to be making money somehow with what I'm doing, and yes, there's going to be certain opportunities that I don't want to decline, where it's like I will communicate that. But I feel like in any relationship, there's just got to be compromise. I'm not going to bend over and not do what I do for work, but I will be understanding about somebody's feelings in it and be like, hey, as much as you're going to literally be okay with all your buddies like seeing and knowing what I do, like you're completely like you're proud of me, and like I'm used to people not being like that. So as long as you're like happy with all of that, you have no bitching, and there's one thing that you might not like that I do, I can not do that, and I think we'll be fine. Like, So that's my best way to look at it. Like 100% it is easier when I'm single just because I can like be like, hey, I'm just going to film with this dude or this dude. But I do actually find it harder because a lot of the guys are like, oh, I'm going to film with you. And then they're super pussy about it, or they get very gun shy when it comes to filming. And that just happens. Then people don't realize that every guy thinks they can be a porn star. And I'm like, these male talents of porn, you have to be able to get a hard on command, man. And it's not as easy as you think when cameras come out. Like, and so I don't know. I'm very blessed that my boyfriend is happy to do that, and I've gotten pretty good feedback with our content and everything. But definitely has been in times where I've had the same.
Now, what is like the cutoff time for like on average? I mean, you say you've dated guys, and it be X amount of months where it's cool, and then you get to a certain point. Like, do you get nervous? Like, it's been 5 months, or like, are you just like, do you still think about like, oh my God, like I'm just waiting for like that other foot to the shoe to drop where it's gonna be like, all right, he's chill now, but like we're heading to the 5-month mark, and it's usually around this times when shit gets changed, or you just not.
Yeah, and that's no, for sure, and that's it. Like right now, like I'm not like, that's why I feel so good about this, because normally I'd be like seeing signs. I feel like by this point where people get more defensive, but it seems like he more so is encouraging me more and more. Even like I told him about this, and he's like, "That's so cool, babe! Like I'm so excited for you. Like just so stoked about it." But yeah, normally I find that it caps out by like the year I'm like done and over with the relationship. I'm like, because it's like it'll go really good for the first, like half the year, like 6 months. And then at that point, that's whenever like the comments kind of start coming, and it's like, oh, I know how you talk to guys on your phone or this, you know, like the little insecurities, or like, hey, you had that. Like I had a porn account before when I was dating this other guy, and I had one video up on it, and he got upset about me. Like I told him it was up there when he was seeing me. I had it up before dating him. It was up for 2 weeks of us like kind of starting to see each other, and then he like got upset because all his friends could go watch it, and so of course that got removed. So I've dealt with like, yeah, them kind of just folding over, but so far so good. There's none of that. I'm not too worried about it, because he seems like he's definitely one of my older boyfriends. Most of my boyfriends, because I, like you did say, I am still pretty young. Like I'm 21. Most of my boyfriends have been like, yeah, let's say 23, around that area, 21, 23, my age. But he's 26, and he seems to have a little bit more of a, I find as they get older, a little bit more maturity when it comes to that kind of thing. They realize it's not about everybody's looking at your girlfriend. It's about, hey, you get to date the hot piece of ass that everybody's jerking off to, and you're the only one that gets to hit it. So
it's like the COVID part. It's like what they're saying, the flattening of the curve here. So it's just like you get to a certain point, like he's doing good. He's flattening the curve. You know what I mean? Like we're not seeing any spikes in like jealousy or negativity coming from him. So he's doing well.
Yeah, that's why I get to put it in my butt so much, I guess you could say. So yeah,
if you behave, you can put it in my butt, but only if you behave.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now, you mentioned he's 26. Like, who's the oldest that you've dated, like boyfriend-wise? Like I would say like a serious relationship, not like a one-off like sugar daddy, or you know, a one-off like we just fucked thing. But
yeah. Serious relationship-wise, okay, so that I actually dated, I was 18 when I was dating somebody who was 24, so that was about a 6-year gap, and I was with him for a while. Like, he bought me a promise ring. This is when I was still kind of just doing camming, so he very much wanted me to be like a housewife, pop out babies, and I was like, hey, no, this is not the shit for me. So that was like more of like 6 years was the kind of gap, but I did have, this is funny, but I had a girl that annoyed me a little while ago back in the day, and so she made some pretty rude comments about me, and so I ended up fucking her dad. And I wasn't necessarily, I wouldn't say like a relationship where we dated, but I kept a fucking, like I'd say he was in his 40s, if not like early 50s, and he wasn't necessarily like, I wouldn't say my boyfriend, but yeah, more of a sugar daddy base, but still like not, like I was going and visiting him, actually seeing him, like you take me out and stuff. So that was another one. So yeah, it's like, don't fuck with me or I'll be your stepmom. That would be more of my older one, where it kind of kept up like a consistent talking to. It wasn't like a, hey, I just talk to you when I need money kind of thing.
Now, how did you know this girl?
But How did
you know this girl? Like you said, she was talking shit to you and everything. Like, is she somebody you knew from school? Or?
Oh, so I just knew small towns. Yeah, small towns. Actually, I moved 2 hours over from my original hometown. So this girl I just knew through moving here, I actually personally didn't even know her that well. I knew of her kind of. I'd met her once. And just because, like, again, small towns, everyone's like, oh, that girl's a hoe, starts running their mouth, like, kind of saying how. And it actually happened that she, I think, had hooked up with someone that I had mutually hooked up with, and she knew. And the guy ended up telling me that she was giving him a blowjob, and she looked up at him and was like, oh, I bet I suck dick way better than Scarlet does. And, like, tried to make, like, a comment about it, because I don't know, like, how you said, the insecurity, like, girls will compare themselves to, like, whatever's happening with me. And so I just remember being like, man, I'm very flattered that you thought of me while you were giving a blowjob. But, no, it was just kind of like a petty, immature thing when I was younger. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, if you want to be immature, like, you want to act funny, we're going to act hilarious. Like, let's do this.
So how did her dad get involved?
So that was kind of how that. So I kind of, in small towns, I knew him kind of, I had heard her dad kind of had a thing for younger girls already, that he was like kind of into, and he had more of a luxurious lifestyle. So I honestly had just ended up I saw him comment on a Facebook comment of a mutual friend, and it was like her talking about getting a face tattoo, and he was like trying to give her shit for he doesn't like tattoos. And I was like, oh, like, anybody, like, you should get your face tattoo. If anybody doesn't like it, they can like suck my left tit. And he commented, because I was, being the woman I am, being like, all right, I know how men work. Within minutes, he replied to the comment being like, oh, I'll happily do it, and then hopped into my inbox from there. Like, I knew what I was doing, and I don't think he even realized that I knew what I was doing at the time. And so, like, yeah, I was like, you're in the sights, and we're going for the kill here.
Now,
so yeah, he ended up messaging me, and then I just kind of
Did he know you and his daughter were like his daughter were like having like this little like squirrel or this little beef going, or?
Not at first, no. He didn't even know that I knew his daughter for the first little bit, and then he mentioned her, and I was like, oh yeah, her, blah, 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 kind of like touched on it, and then he wanted me to come to like their New Year's party and meet her, and that's when I was like, hey, I have to let you know something.
This is revenge sex, dude.
Yeah, but then I kept that part to myself. I was like, you're an angel. I just didn't know at first that you were her dad. Little brat I am. But, yeah, I don't know. It worked out very well. He used to buy me a lot of things, that's for sure. So
take me through the deets of this. Like, so he inboxed you, and then, like, how did you initiate where you were going to meet? And then, like, was it just like you meet and you just, like, wham, bam, like, you start fucking?
He asked me if I wanted to go. Yeah, they were kind of like having drinks over at his place one night, and I was younger, and I was like, he just asked me, he's like, oh, we're doing like tequila night at my place, so like, want to come over? And he has like some younger friends too and stuff. So he went over there, we did tequila, and I kind of like, that's how I got to know him. And then he invited me out to dinner one night, and like was just like, yeah, pulling cash out, doing that. And then of course my little hoe ass was like, oh my god, okay. And just, ended up going back to his place. And of course I already had the motivation that I was going to probably do it. So it was kind of just like icing on the cake that it was that simple for me, I guess. But I don't know. It was, and then we just kind of like, he kind of kept up talking to me. He bought me my stripper pole, which was like a $700 X pole. Like, he's definitely, that was my Christmas present actually. But yeah, no, we just kind of kept up contact. Only recently I broke things off just because he's always kind of been like respectful of if I'm seeing someone. But yeah, he was not very respectful of this one, I don't think. So I think you get a little bit jealous. So
yeah, because his pussy was walking away from him. Like, he's like, damn, like
exactly.
Like I just lost my fucking subscription here. Like,
yeah, there you go. Exactly.
So, you do the videos, like you said, for your different social media platforms and websites and everything. And like, so you only currently shoot with your current boyfriend, like, or do you have like a little small list of guys that have been approved?
I don't know. I only shoot with my current boyfriend now, but I do shoot with a bunch. Like once this COVID's over, I'll be able to actually start doing that again. But there's a girl in town that does it as well for like does camming more so in like videos, and she has a premium snap. So I shoot with her, and then normally I will travel down south to like Vancouver area, and I have linked up with a couple girls down there as well. So this summer, my plans were originally that I was going to road trip kind of through BC and kind of go through the Okanagan all the way down to like the lower mainland Vancouver area and just kind of link up with all these different girls. Like I had a couple like girl threesomes and things lined up, and now I'm like, oh, fuck. But yeah, it's mainly just my boyfriend. I do have like he's okay that I have pre-film content with other people, like I've like older men that I've hooked up with, other guys, my random Tinder dates, things like that. My more taboo content, he doesn't care that I have that. I'm like, I'm gonna stockpile my shit because all these boys were in the picture at one point or something, and they're not there now.
Yeah.
So like, there's clearly might as well like keep a hold of all my stuff just in case. But
So do you consider
no,
yourself
the fact is
to
that
be bisexual then? I mean, you mentioned all these other girls. Are you openly
oh,
bisexual?
100%.
Okay. I didn't
Hundred
I didn't know if
percent,
it was like a
yeah.
sexual
Open
thing,
sky.
like are you like were you, have you
Oh no.
dated or are you open to dating or is it just, just for
See, and that's I find it's more of a sexual thing that way. Like I'm not as attracted to girls like when it comes to like a relationship wise. I love hooking up with them. It makes me like I find it so hot like hooking up with girls. My first time actually hooking up with a girl was on camera. The first every time like I always had wanted to, like I made out with them in high school when I was young, things like that, but never really got to go past that in high school because I live in such a small town. It was very taboo for girls to kind of hook up still. And like, like you go to the parties and chicks are like, fuck yeah, like we're gonna go fuck in the bathroom or something like that's not like it's way more common now. But so I never really got to have those experiences. I didn't like go to college, like that whole stereotypical shit. Like I didn't do any of that, and I didn't really move out of like my small town to go party. So that's how I got into it was sex work. But I'd always watch like porn, always into that when it was lesbian porn, like very into that kind of shit. So when I switched into it, it was like right away just clicked to me, and like I enjoy it so much. I've obviously hooked up with chicks on and off camera now too. But I find it's just more of a sexual thing. I like bringing a chick in, like with my boyfriend. Like that kind of stuff would be more fun. But I find that yeah, no, I like to date boys. I like to fuck girls.
what is your favorite thing
Definitely.
sexually with girls? I mean, are you the giver? Are you the taker? Are you more aggressive? Submissive?
Honestly, I find that like I'm more aggressive with girls because I find more often than not when it comes to girls, one of the girls that there's like their first time hooking up with or their first time doing, like they have a boyfriend or something. Like the girl that I film with here, she's got a fiance. So every time, like, I don't know, I feel like she's pretty timid too, but like it was her first time using a double-ended dildo with me. And then I think the other like 3 or 4 girls that I filmed with, it was all their first time. So I've kind of been like the teacher with it a little bit too. So, like, I don't know, it's kind of different because I am so submissive when it comes to sex with guys. Normally, like, I've been dominant. I've used a strap-on on dudes and things. Like, I've done all of it. But I find that I prefer to be the submissive one. So when it comes to women, it's definitely different that I can kind of, like, switch roles. But I find that I switch to, like, I don't know, it's back and forth, but I fucking love going down on girls. Oh my god. It's so funny because me and my boyfriend will talk about that all the time now, and I'll like talk about going down on me, and I'll be like, yeah, trust me, I go down on chicks. I enjoy it. I get it.
What attracts you to women? What is attractive to you? Like, do you have a certain style, look? Is it attitude?
Honestly, I think a big thing is attitude. Like, there's a lot of girls, like, most of the girls that I've hooked up with are more petite, like myself. Like, I'm a pretty small girl. I'm like 115 pounds right now, as big as I've been in a while. Fuck. And that's not even big. That's not me trying to say that. That's just myself being like, go me. But I'm very petite, small, and I do like tattooed girls. I love ink chicks, but I find like I have like no nationalities, anything like that are like my preference. When it comes to girls, like yeah, it's more so how I vibe with them. There's been certain girls that I've hooked up with, like, and especially on camera, I can tell that like they're not as into it because it's more so you can tell they're just doing it for the views and for the paying. Like they're not really into girls. They're just like, hey, this is what I'm getting requested to do, as opposed to other girls where like you really get into it and actually like enjoy each other. So that's more so what's appealing to me. But yeah, like I fucking will sit there and I'll be like showing my boyfriend things on Instagram. I'm like, look at this chick, she's so thick. Like, oh my god, I wish. And he's just like, that's not my thing, like, And I'm just like, I love all chicks, like fuck it. But I find if I go to a strip club or something, more often than not, it's usually the tiny tattooed girls that are coming in with lap dances with me. So
is there any celebrity
I don't know. It's
crushes
like
that
myself.
you have? Like, is there a celebrity girl that you're like, if I could, I definitely wouldn't get with her?
Fuck, and I honestly, celebrity girls, I find like, fuck. Okay, celebrity girls, like, I guess, I don't know if you consider her a celebrity, like, I consider her one, but I don't know if you've ever heard of Taylor White. She's not an actual, she's sex worker celebrity still, kind of, though. But she's on Instagram, she's fucking gorgeous, like, oh my god, hips for days. But anyways, she's super fucking hot. I find that most of my celebrity crushes tend to still be kind of sex worker based because, I don't know, I think I like more out there chicks too is a big thing. Girls that are more have the wild side to them. Like I don't like when girls are very tame and prude. Like that sounds so mean for me to say, but it's very true.
Now, did you ever like think about doing full-fledged porn? Like, I mean, obviously you've been probably approached by, production companies like Brazzers and, Bang Bros and stuff like that. I'm sure, things have trickled along your radar. Have you ever really thought about doing mainstream or what people consider mainstream porn?
I I have in a sense because like I think it would be awesome to get the exposure, but in my experience of what I've seen with porn stars just in being sex work for just about 4 years now, they have a very short shelf life compared to cam girls and other girls on the internet. I find that when you're in porn, you have like there's some girls like don't get me wrong, like Riley Reid, some of these chicks, but those aren't even OGs. Like there's even crazier girls that I've like seen in the day in porn. But even those girls, like Riley Reid's relevant, but say a couple months ago, I saw her so much more on my timeline, and now like she was number one porn star and now she's dropped to third, which is still amazing, but now there's another girl that's the hot topic, right? And it just kind of cycles through it, I find. And like Mia Khalifa being a prime example, that was like it blew up for how long and then she turns around and there was like is done with that into a different occupation. But I find that girls are in mainstream porn, and I've noticed do it more so, and it's like a short-term thing. And there's some girls that can do it long-term because you see the difference between girls that do it and they're just on film and they're getting fucked and they're getting paid for it. And then you see girls I'm listing off crushes here, but like Kiss of Sins, like girls like that who actually like act, like they're not even acting, they just have that porn star, like, you know what I mean? They command so much attention on camera. You're like, holy fuck, these lines that are coming out of your mouth, the way you are working that dick, like you can just tell. Some girls can keep in the industry because they know what the fuck they're doing, and then there's other girls that I find that hop into porn and they just kind of are in porn because they're like, oh, I thought I was going to make money on Pornhub, and then you find out that unless you are actually like getting paid the big bucks for all your filming and shit, you're not really making much on there.
And it's like you said,
I don't know,
because people got to be smart about their hustle. A lot of people, like you mentioned, think that it's simple, that you just, I'm just going to set up a webcam, sign up for an account. I don't know what it's like in Canada. I don't know if you need like a license to do this type of stuff, but like some people.
Yeah, you just have to be of age kind of and log in. Okay. Like it's the same like we can log in with our fucking, you have to have your ID and your picture and sign up on everything. But yeah, I hear it so often and everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm just going to they ask me all the time, how much money do you make on Pornhub? And it's like, okay, well, I'm not even I don't do actual professional videos. I just hook a few up and it's based on views. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you right now, it's nothing compared to every other website that I'm making money on. But because these people are just so exposed to just the classic generic, this is where people make money, they just assume that that's like how you do it. And you're like, no. Or they're like, oh, I'm going to sell panties. And you're like, hey, is not, I sell like maybe a pair or two of panties a month compared to my videos, my everything else. Like that is such a small portion of the amount of people that like are into these things, right? So it's the same with porn. Like I've noticed so many people like come and go. I find male models stay in it a little bit longer, but yeah, just to me, I think like I truly believe that if I stayed with and got into porn, I probably wouldn't be still doing sex work like right now. Like I feel like looking at what I'm doing, like people always ask like, oh, what are you gonna do when you get older? And I'm like, honestly, I could do camming or OnlyFans and stuff until my late 30s. Trust me, like until like you can be mature in doing it. There's always a demand and for it in this fucking community, but I find that with porn, it's kind of like you get into it as like you are the teeny bopper or you look like this, or it's like kind of the MILF, like everybody's got that genre, and once you kind of grow out of that genre, you don't really keep going with it.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different, like with girls that I know that have done camming, all of a sudden they get pregnant and they kind of can still keep doing it because then they go into the like pregnancy thing, but then everybody knows she had a baby because they've literally watched it. You kind of get to have more of that relationship with them, I find, because you interact with girls on OnlyFans, Snap, all these things on a one-on-one basis, as opposed to watching that girl and being like, that's the chick that's getting fucked on porn or like on Pornhub as well, right? Mm-hmm. I find that like there's more of a demand for everybody wanting an online girlfriend or this or this. So
well
definitely I think what will stick around. Porn.
I was gonna say, well, one of the things I think is really cool. I mean, first off, you mentioned Kiss of Sins, who first off, just shout out to Kiss of Sins. Like I know her, she's like a sweetheart of a girl. Like there are certain.
Oh my god, I'm so jealous.
She's been on the podcast a couple of times. Like her and Johnny are like they're just like they know what the fuck they're doing. And there's people out there who
literally, and I'm their relationship is fire. Like, oh my gosh. I just watch the content. I'm like, I fucking wish. You guys bring so many hot people into your life. Oh my God.
Like, she honestly, like, I probably, when she was on the podcast, she might have been one of her first ever, uh, like podcast interviews. And you could just tell from the first time that you spoke to her and that she knew what she was doing. Like, it was building a brand.
Oh,
It's
fuck yeah.
not so much like you say quick pay. Like, people, like, if you go into this with the mindset that you're just trying to make a quick cash out, like, that's when you find struggles. And not the
Oh yeah, it'll tee up and straighten
yeah,
us
and
out.
not to blow you up and gas you all up, but I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you talk, and I'm like, wow. I don't know if it's because she's Canadian and they're just so much, more chill than us, or the fact that it's just like you being 21 years old and you're like, you don't talk, like, you could tell, like, like, you're just mature with what you're doing, and like, you're smart about the moves and the decisions you make. Like, that's really cool. I just want to compliment you, and I think that's really cool that you're so comfortable in yourself that you have this mindset. You know what you want to do. Like, it's not something that you're feeling defeated by. Like, you're just, if anybody that's listening would not believe that you're only 21, because you just speak like you speak like an OG, like you've been doing this.
You got me blushing over here. But thank you. Honestly, that's the nicest thing to hear, because that's just, I work so hard to try, and like, honestly, every girl in sex work is going to say there's like slow parts and stuff, but like, yeah, to try and stay motivated, have a level head with all of this, and just be like, as fucking, like you said, mature, but like well worded with everything I'm doing, and trying to be like, use my head about it. Like, I always talk to my mom's like, what are you gonna do after, like, she knows what I do, but she's like, what are you gonna do after this? Like, are you ever gonna, like, get a job? And it's like, hey mom, I have a job. But I always talk to them like, I could go to business school, mom, because basically what I do is running a business. And I'm like, and then I could, like, apply that to what I do. Like, I always want to, like, do better at this, but I like being my own boss and fucking hustling for myself. And honestly, yeah, no, it's just the biggest compliment, because I do find there's so many girls that get into this, especially even at my age, that are just like, oh, like, because I'm pretty, I'm going to get paid. And I'm like, you are fucking gorgeous, honey. And don't worry, like, I don't doubt that there are going to be men that just want to pay to see you naked. But yeah, like, it just means a lot
and
for someone to be like, oh yeah, like, you
and
actually
I
sound
felt,
like you know what you're
yeah, and
doing.
I felt so, like, I feel, and I just got to confess this now, because I feel like such an asshole, because, like, I already had passed judgment on you, and I try not to judge people, but I'm like, I knew you were, younger. I didn't know your exact age, but I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
like, she's like a big, like, weed fan. She's from Canada. She's got a bunch of tats. She does porn, and she's younger. I'm like, okay, I've had guests on the show, and I'm not going to mention names because I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody, but I've had guests on the show that are just
Yeah.
like, have no personality, and it's just like trying to bring like that personality out of somebody. You're like, okay, like, I hope this isn't one of those podcasts where this girl's just like a fucking, like, high off her ass lame,
Airhead.
yeah, like a fucking doped up airhead that just like is like, I like dick, I want to suck dick, you know what I mean? Like, and I feel bad
Yeah.
because I'm like, holy
No, and I
shit, like,
totally get that. Oh, fuck, nah. It's honestly, to make you feel better, my literal boyfriend that I'm dating, we matched on Tinder, and when he was picking me up, he's like, fuck, he's older than me. He's like, this chick's young, so she's an entertainer of sorts, like, she does, like, sex work, like, she's super, like, on her social media, like, she's gonna be some bimbo that just comes and talks, and it's gonna be like, oh my god, my Instagram this, and like, oh, like, I get fucked and I get paid for it, and this, like, total, like, he expected the same thing, and, like, I got the exact same, like, wording from him, being like, wow, like, you are not the same way that I expected
yeah,
you to
and
be. You actually have,
it's
like, somewhat of a
weird
personality.
because I feel wrong for like making that judgment on you, because I kind of pride myself in not being the type to judge people, because I'm like, I do a fucking podcast where a majority of my guests are adult entertainers, like I said, so it's like I have no room or place to judge anybody, because I'm sure people judge me every fucking second. And if they don't judge me, like, that's kind of like upsetting, because because I feel like I'm not getting any kind of reaction if you're not judging me. Um,
Yeah, you're like, excuse you.
like, damn, I'm not even worthy enough to be judged. Like, that sucks. But
Yeah, you're not even giving me an opinion?
yeah,
No, but I totally, to me, like, I hear it so often, like, especially I've been meeting more and more people through my boyfriend's friend group, too, and they're all older than me, and they've known me throughout the town before, but they never really interact with me, and every person is the same thing. They're like, wow, like, I never talked to you because I know what you do, and I kind of, like, know you're younger, and I just, yeah, I saw that you were going to be completely different, and every time they're like, you're a nice person, and I'm like, yeah, and to me, what I tell people, though, is, like, obviously, like, I never take offense to it because I find that, like, I try to not judge people, like you said yourself, like, I'm like, because of, like, what we do and things, like, you're like, who am I to judge anybody? But at the same time, I try to not hold any, like, grudges or, like, even, like, upsetness or whatever fucking word I'm trying to use, judge to people who do have, like, a presumed opinion of me, because honestly, like, it's just, that's what happens when you're in this kind of work and you're in, like, do what I do, and you have, like, the personality and you're posting the shit I do on the internet. So I definitely don't take any offense to it whatsoever.
Well, it's definitely a testament to you, because I'm sure if someone like me who's had many guests of the adult world on my podcast, if I had that judgment, I can only assume and imagine that people who don't partake in this type of, entertainment, what they might be thinking of you. So in a way, you're kind of like bashing a stereotype, because I'm sure there's people out there who are probably not ever going to listen to this podcast, but if they ever did somehow lasted this long to the podcast, would be saying to themselves, like, oh my God, like, fuck her, she's just this little, like, fucking porn slut. And in a way, you kind of embrace the title of porn slut, but you're showing,
happily, yeah.
but you're showing that you're not, there's a lot more to you. And I'll be honest with you right now, I'm probably more turned on the fact that you do have a personality and are, like, so headstrong, that I'm like, you know what, that's more attractive than the fact that she's just shoving, Canadian bacon up her ass. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. No, I totally get what you mean, 100%. Fuck, no, fuck my stoned ass. I was about to say something, now I'm like, where the fuck did it go? But
well, that's a good segue, because I do want to talk about that as well. So, I mean, I know today is 420, and, like, you're, again, with, it seems like with everything that you do, you're not shy about it. You just kind of just do it and just say, fuck it, I don't really care what people think. So you are an advocate for, recreational use. So,
heck yeah.
How much do you smoke in a day?
Honestly, it fluctuates. I find the best way to put it is, like, I buy normally a quarter pound of weed a month. So, like, 4 ounces, so about an ounce a week. So it's not too bad. Lately, I've been trying to smoke less. I do smoke shatter and oil and things like that as well, like all the different stuff. But yeah, I typically am having at least, like, 6 to 20 bong tokes a day. Like, I smoke a lot of weed, but I find that it's easy for me because I am a homebody and I work from home, and I can be stoned while I'm working, as opposed to some people. I could be stoned while I was surfing too. Let's not joke here, but I could. It's a lot easier for me as opposed to other people who smoke weed and, like, they work like a labor job or something. You can't go to work stoned, or you don't, like, you got piss tests, things like that, as opposed to I can just be high all the time and enjoy my life. I don't really have to go anywhere.
Are you smoking more today, being that it's 420? Like, what is, like, personally, like, I'm straight edge. Like, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I try not to judge people who do. It's just not something that I'm into. Mm-hmm. So, like, I have Edge Day, you know what I mean? Where we celebrate our day, so it's kind of like the opposite of your day. It's kind of like it's kind of like Christmas and Hanukkah, you know what I mean? It's kind of like the same thing but different. So on 420, what is, like, something that you do to celebrate your day?
Well, besides getting super high, okay. Last year I think I cleaned out. I have, how many bongs do I have? I think I have 6 or 7 bongs, so nice big glass pieces that I've accumulated, because I've been smoking weed, like, almost every day. I think almost every day since I was 15. Like, I've been smoking very consecutively. But I clean out all of my bongs, and I usually line them all up, and I'll pack every single one of them with a toke. So there's, like, 7 of them in front of me, and I typically take them all at once for, like, my premium or something. I'll be, like, naked taking the bong tokes. Obviously, we have to incorporate my sex work stuff. And then, yeah, I typically do some kind of 420 show. Like, right now, I'm already, like, dressed for it, so after this, I'll probably go do that. Like, going to have some kind of pot-themed something for sex, like, for my work platforms. Usually I'll run, like, sales and stuff like that. And then, yeah, I get super stoned. I'll do, like, some kind of show where I masturbate, get really high while doing it. And then I don't know, tonight I think, after my boyfriend gets off work, he doesn't smoke weed either. He's not into it. So I told him, I was like, I'm not cooking dinner tonight. I'm ordering sushi. I'm going to be getting stoned the entire time after that. Just like, and my mom will be with me. And because he was like, oh, we can make this for dinner. I'm like, I will not be functioning enough for cooking tonight. Like, you are
I'm
picking up
happy you're
sushi on the
functioning
way
enough
home.
to be on the podcast. Like I really was really nervous. I'm like,
Oh yeah,
oh my god, I didn't realize it was 420. That's why like I messaged you beforehand. I'm like, are you able to do this today? Like,
I know. Oh yeah, trust me.
I don't want it to be like a
I
scene
know.
from
I did.
Half
I
Baked.
had it's my mind too. It's with my mind a little bit too because I had a bit of a busier weekend. So I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing that because I was about to get stoned ending my show too. So I was like, okay, we're gonna hold off on the getting a very stoned part. I'm like, we're taking one bong toke and that'll be fine. I can function off that. Like that's okay. But yeah, no, definitely good timing on messaging me about that for sure.
Do you find that you smoking weed, does that enhance your sexual activity? Do you feel you need to, or you just naturally?
I'm typically honestly very horny more often than not. Like, I don't need to have weed, but it does. When I'm doing my shows and stuff, it definitely puts me in more of a mood, like that kind of way. So when it comes to sex, things like that, I actually like find, because you know how you get the pasties when you're smoking weed? I find, well, I guess you're straight, but like, you know, everybody talks about getting the pasties, your mouth gets dry. I find that when I'm actually having sex, I like have no problem getting wet more often than any other time. Like I'm fucking like goddamn like puddles, but when it comes to sex when I'm stoned, I actually struggle with getting wet because like not if I'm just like a bit, but if I'm super fucking high, it's like my whole body gets the fucking pasties. So I'm like I'd rather not be super stoned if I'm gonna film porn or anything, but more often than not, it does make things like enjoyable. Though, like I just find like masturbation and stuff that that way makes more sense. And then when it comes to work wise, that was a tongue twister with 3 W's. Work wise, I find that like if I smoke weed and I need to do like a bunch of like stuff on my OnlyFans, like posting things or like cleaning around my house and kind of getting stuff organized for custom videos, shit like that. If I smoke a joint or like take a couple bong tokes, it makes me super focused because like I'm sure you can tell I like ramble like a motherfucker. I talk a lot, super fast. I'm a very like jumpy person, so and I get like my whole head just gets like totally overwhelmed with stuff when I have a bunch going on. So yeah, when I smoke weed, it almost makes me like calm down and just like focus on it and like make a list in my head and be like, hey, you need to do this and this and this. Like it's like definitely calming for me in that way too.
I kind of feel like you need to be high when you do like grocery shopping so you don't forget anything.
Oh fuck yeah. The whole list.
It keeps me focused. Like if I'm not high,
Same time though.
I forget shit.
Fuck. Yeah, no. Except I'm buying too many fucking snacks and there too. Then I'm like, oh, that looks great. Yeah, we're gonna get that in the cart too.
No, it's awesome. Like when we posted a teaser that you were going to be on the website and on social media platforms, people that were not necessarily knowledgeable of who you were, or even not saying that they weren't fans, but I mean people that were unaware of you started hitting me up, DMing me, asking questions. So a couple questions that I got. One person I mean, they obviously clearly must have been searching through your social media platforms, or maybe they were even a subscriber to your OnlyFans or something, but they knew that you were, a big weed fan. Are you strictly just weed? Like you don't do anything hard or anything?
Yeah, see, like I pride myself on this. Like I know so many people, but everybody always says this to me. They're like, you look like you do cocaine. Like, especially how I talk. Like everybody's like, oh yeah, you're probably a coke whore. I've actually never done coke or anything like that. I've done Molly a couple times, like back in the day when I was partying, things like that. But other than that, yeah, no, I smoke weed. I've tried to eat shrooms like once or twice. Both times I just got sick. Other than that, I find that like I am younger out of a lot of my friend groups, so they'll be sitting there and they'll be talking and be like, yeah, like I was doing K, or like I fucking like, yeah, I K-hold or this, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, I have no idea. And they're all like talking about their drug trips and doing acid, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna smoke my joint. Like literally, like I can sit there, like I will make the comment happily say, like I've had people rail cocaine off my titties and my ass because I have a nice butt, and you guys can use it as a plate if you want to. Like I don't give a shit what other people are doing. I've definitely been in those scenarios where I've seen shit, but like to myself, I am very like, I smoke weed. I don't need to be doing anything else. I do drink like once in a while. I like my wine. I drink wine, but other than that, yeah, no, it's just not my thing. And I always say to people too, when it comes to like cocaine, especially, like, man, if I were to do coke, you guys would be like, where the fuck is the off button? Like, I just, It's unbelievable.
You can
So yeah, I
imagine
don't
someone like
find.
me who's straight edge when people start using like the terminology for different drugs, and I'm like, I have no fucking clue what the hell this person's talking about. I'm like,
Yeah.
what the hell is that? I'm like, I'm not even
No, I
familiar
fucking.
with half this shit because I don't
I
partake in
don't
that.
even know what like. Yeah. Literally though, I'm like, I know what weed is, I know what cocaine is, I know what Molly is, and I'm like, I know like a couple other things, and like all of a sudden, like someone will be like this or this, and I'm like,
Some street
is that a
terms
hard
that I
drug?
never
Is
even
that
heard
do you
of.
eat it? Yeah, no, I hear that so often, and it's like I see it so much. Like now, like well, I'm sure you can relate. Like I feel like younger generations is a lot more normalized now for people doing drugs. Like when I was young, like even smoking weed when I was in high school, people were like, "Oh my god, you're such a fucking stoner! Like you're skid! Like oh my god." Now nobody gives a shit about really smoking weed as much. I'm sure it's a little bit different in the States, but like Canada, like I feel like it's a lot more normalized. But like even hearing like about from my younger sibling who was in high school, like he was telling me about all these like young kids that would just be at the smoke pit, like blazing and stuff, and it wasn't even a problem. And then he started telling me about these kids that are like doing acid at school that are like 14, or like they're doing cocaine in the bathrooms. Obviously, I came from a sketchy ass school apparently, but like stuff like that, it's so much more normalized. I see young girls that I know personally that I used to teach their dance classes when they were like young, and now I'm seeing them doing like all these drugs at parties or showing up when they're telling me about their first time like doing meth, and I'm like, excuse me, like what the fuck? Like it's just like I find that even in my generation, like I'm a younger generation, but it's still not as normalized. Like yeah, people do like coke once in a while, and I see that, but like it's not as like crazy as now. Like everywhere I see their jokes, and like I even TikTok. I was scrolling through my TikTok, and there'll be like these memes, and people will be like, oh, like why are you up late? Why is this? And then it'll be like a little 16-year-old girl's head that pops up, and she's like, because I do coke. And you're like, what?
Excuse me, little
My
girl?
mom would smack me.
Where is your mother?
Yeah, no, like, yeah, I want to delete the app. Fuck me, burn it, put fire. We're done.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, it's definitely different. I grew up in a time where it wasn't cool for everybody to do drugs, so I feel like it's a little bit more normalized now. But I'm just like, I tend to stay away from it.
Gotcha.
And I tell my friends, I'm like, I don't judge you guys. Tell me what you're doing, and I want to know that you're safe. Like I'm the kind of person that I want to have like shit on hand to make sure I can help you out. But other than that, I'm like, I could literally get
It's
less of the
dangerous.
shit.
I
I don't need
mean,
to have it in my body.
you see so many different people that are
Yeah.
like taking like unprescribed like opioids and shit, and you know, people passing away from bad perks, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, just fortunately for me, like I've always been kind of, you know, the straight edge guy that I never felt need to take anything to, you know, make myself feel enhanced in any form of, you know, relaxation
Yeah.
or, you know, feeling, you know, more entertaining or whatever. I just never had to, you know. So
Yeah.
it's crazy, but like you said, there's a lot of like weird shit out there. So and I don't want to mention any of the names of people that send me these messages and asking questions because I don't really know what they partake in. You know, like to each their own. It's all I can
Yeah.
say to that.
Exactly.
Um, Another guy wanted to know if in your personal life, like how often do you get to enjoy like sex in your personal life? If it's not like, is it always shooting, or do you get to have sex with your boyfriend or any of your girlfriends just as
I
normal?
like more of just normal.
Mm.
Yeah, casual. I honestly find that I film like I try to film like once a week or something like that with my boyfriend. Other than that, like we typically we have sex like every day kind of idea, if not more than once a day. Obviously, some like people I feel like need to realize this, and I'm fucking so thankful that he does. But like it's not unhealthy to not have sex every day in a relationship too. Like he'll be like tired from work, and I've been literally fucking myself for like 6 different customs all day, and I'm like, there's no way that I need you to clap my cheeks right now. Let's go to bed. Like kind of things, right? So there'll be days that we don't have sex, but it's not because of like, oh, like this or that. Like I have pretty regular sex with him. More often than not though, it's actually just us having sex. And like there's been times that he's like, oh, like do you want to film this and stuff? And then I tell him, I'm like, honestly, as much as I do want to make money off of it, I do want to just enjoy getting to be here with you too. And I think that was something that did ruin one of like my past relationships too, is because one of my boyfriends, I was always like, okay, well, like I want to film it, and he would be like, hey, well, can we just like fuck though? Like, and that I was kind of, after hearing that, I was like, oh yeah, like maybe it makes someone feel like they're kind of being used if you're constantly just being like, yeah, I want to film your dick, like let me
I'm
use
just
it.
a rented dick that, you know, was on film every so often.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why, yeah, no, I like to kind of switch it up in that way too. That like we do have like nights that like we'll like just have like a night to ourselves where we'll like drink together and kind of just hang out, and I have like go into my one room and just like film for like 5 hours, stay up and just like enjoy each other's company, right? And that's like I find makes it better too, because then we can kind of brainstorm different things. It's not always just the same. Like, hey, my friend, or like all my subscribers are just seeing me getting fucked. Like, obviously that's fun, but I like to do like I've done like he's tied me to a chair, or like I like to do different kind of styles of it, right? So instead of just the same fucking like a couple different angles of me fucking getting strapped on.
Now that
Part of my terminology, I talk so much.
well, that kind of segues into the question I wanted to ask too was, um, what what's the craziest thing in your mind that you've done in your personal life or on film? I mean, a lot of people watch your stuff, and like what may seem common to you may be some off the wall shit to the Waltons of the world that are like, like, oh my
Yes,
god, I can't
very
believe
true.
she's doing this crazy shit. So,
Okay, well, okay, on the more like my not thinking this crazy stuff is like, and this is more of my public stuff, that's like seen online. I've definitely fucked myself with a bunch of different things, obviously, vegetable wise, like I've got corn on the cob, like all those different ones. There's been a lot of things food wise, popsicles, lollipops, like a lot of stuff where girls are like, oh my god, is your pussy okay? Like, and I'm like, trust me, sweetie, she's okay and she's getting paid for. We're good. But
she's being
so there's
compensated
that,
very
and I
well.
find it, yeah. Like, and that's like taboo on its own end, but then like on my own personal life, some of like, okay, so my first ever threesome I'd ever had was actually recently, like last year, because again, coming from a small town, like it was just more taboo and it was never really an option. And especially like I still have never had a threesome with just a chick and a dude. Like I always have like girls around, like guys and stuff like that. Like I've had a foursome and things like that, but I've never just had like a chick and a dude like to myself, and I fucking wish. But I've had like multiple threesomes with two guys, but it's just not common around here. But for the threesome with the two guys, my first one I ever had, I knew the one guy, but the other guy I had never met. I didn't know who he was. It was just his buddy. And I actually didn't even get to see his face before he put his dick in my ass. Basically, we waited. And I was like playing with his buddy or whatever, and he hadn't showed up yet. And I was just like bent over waiting with my face down when he came in, so I wasn't allowed to see him yet. And so then he started fucking me before I could see him. So that was pretty fucking hot and crazy, because I kind of just got to fuck a complete stranger. And like I had no idea who he was. And then I got to have like my first fucking foursome. That was pretty neat too. Like I got fucked over top of some other chick, like by her boyfriend and things, like those kind of things. To myself, I'm like, yeah, like props, go Scarlet, like woo. But like again, like I feel like if I were to tell some of my vanilla friends, like obviously I don't care what they think, but some of them are like, holy fuck, like oh my god. I don't know. I feel like those are more. I feel like okay, yeah, like fucking myself on the side of the road too. That was another one that was pretty wild.
How did
In
that
town, like
happen?
especially being in the small towns. So I have custom videos that I get like requests for, and like obviously you gotta pay the big bucks for those ones if you want me to be doing some crazy shit. But yeah, so I had my car, and like I've done like public in my car before, it's like no biggie, whatever. But this one, he requested that I get out of my car on the side of the road completely naked and blindfold myself in the front of my car and like fuck myself, and if like traffic came, I wasn't allowed to stop or anything. And like to me, like it wouldn't be that big of a deal like myself, I think, if I lived in the city. Obviously I'd probably get called in a lot faster, but like it wouldn't be as big of a deal to me because like I don't know any of these people. But because I live in such a small town, like we live in a place where like people, like drama happens and they're posting on like the town community bulletin board on Facebook being like, oh my god, did you guys see this?
I know
So
that
like
feeling.
my god, yeah, so I'm like, God forbid if I fucking like somebody drove by and recognized me because I have such like my knee tattoos, I have very noticeable tattoos. People know me in town. So if somebody were to snap a picture of this naked girl fucking just getting her nut in front of her vehicle and post it on the fucking buy and sell or something, like everybody would be like, holy shit, we know who that is, right? So that was like more of like when I do stuff like that, I find it's crazier when I do it around here as opposed to down south or like somewhere I don't know people, because like, yeah, if I'm in the city, I could literally give less of a fucking shit what I'm doing. Like I will be nude around everybody, like masturbating in front of open windows. I could not care. But here I'm like, oh gosh, I guess this would be a little bit more reserved because somebody's mom might know me or something.
Now, is there something that you will not do? I mean, you seem like you're pretty open, pretty wild. Like, have you ever been approached, or have you ever been told or asked to do something in a custom? I mean, like, how far can money make you do things?
Honestly, I'm pretty much down to do anything once. I don't really do anything. I'm sure, like talking about like scat play and stuff like that. Like I've had people ask me to like shit on camera and things, and that's like started getting all sexy with that. But that's not my jam, and I won't do that. I really am like I get people that make requests where like they want me to use like kind of racist in terminology and stuff, and I'm just like that's stuff that I'm not comfortable in my customs. Where they're like, oh, I want you to use like these racial terms while like talking about me, and I get that that's their kink. But at the same time, there's certain things where I'm like, hey, like as much as like I am a nice girl, I do like pride myself on that, and so like I just like it's so hard for me to like I can do dominant vibes. Like I said, I've fucked dudes, I've done the whole sissy bitch kind of shit, but it's a difference between like them like asking me to like degrade them and them being like, no, use this fucking like offensive ass terminology. Like it just makes me like it's so hard for me during the video to even like try to say something. So I'm just like, there's certain lines like that. Honestly, I feel like something that I won't do though, there's not really a lot. Like I've always like thought about like, I like the idea is like, obviously now I won't do a gangbang because I got a boyfriend or something like that. And he'd be like, oh my God, this hoe. You know, obviously like I'm not a hoe, but you know, like certain things like that, if I were single would probably be something I'd be down to do and fucking, or like, I don't know. I've always just kind of, yeah, been open to a lot of stuff. I don't know. There's not really a lot that I've ever said no to.
How many guys is
like,
too many guys if you were to do a gangbang?
And that's the thing. I feel like if I'm going to do a gangbang, I'd probably want to do like 4 or 5 guys at most. I wouldn't want to go over that at first, especially for my first one, just because I feel like, I don't know, like when I did my first threesome, like that was my first time ever getting double penetrated by 2 dudes. It was like a first like threesome too, like that. All that I remember starting that threesome off with like straight hair, and I have naturally curly like wavy hair. Yeah, by the time of like I don't think it was like 2.5 hours. How fucking fun! It was stupidly long for like just for me to be getting crapped on for 2.5 hours by both of them. But like I enjoyed myself the whole time. But I remember like ending it, my hair was like fucking curly. I was like drenched in sweat kind of idea. So I'm like I can only imagine how I would do with like fucking that many. Like I would be deceased the next day, but it would be worth it. But
now, the first time you ever did a DP, what was that? What was that feeling like? I mean, was that this time here that you were talking about?
Honestly, like okay, so like my first time, like I've done DP like with toys before, I guess. Like I've done that, like I had my own double penetration toys before, but like with 2 guys, like honestly, it was pretty intense, and it was kind of cool because like I got the compliment video. Obviously, I'm more petite too, and I watch porn. I obviously do like porn myself, so I kind of know angles on my own. And like they both were talking about being like, you know what, that was the first time we were ever actually able to double penetrate a chick in like all these positions that you see in like pornos, and like it not be an issue. Like we could like try all this different shit. So myself, I was enjoying it because I like personally I do like anal, but like I know some girls are like, holy fuck, like I don't understand how you handled that for that long, but. No, I don't know. It was fun for me. My mom if my mom ever listened to this, she'd be like, holy fucking hell. It was great. It was a good time.
Now, let everybody know before you get out of here where people can find you at on social medias and then platforms. Like plug everything as if this was a DP scene. Like we're plugging everything.
Like what everything is?
Yes.
Okay, well, Pornhub, I'm Scarlet Summer on Pornhub. That one's super easy. Same as Twitter. My Twitter is Scarlet Summer XX. I apologize. I have had to change some of my names because my platforms get deleted so frequently. Being a small town, how a lot of people have some hate for that, so they like to report my shit. My Snapchat is Scarlet Summer 5. I'm always on my Snapchat. Super easy. Notice the 5 there, by the way, because I fucking have been deleted so many times on that. We won't even get into it. Instagram is Smokin' Scarlet. I also have like a personal Instagram where if you kind of just want to see more of my personal life that has like my boyfriend, my selfies and stuff, it's Scarlet Summer Personal. Where else do we got going on? I've got an OnlyFans, which is also onlyfans.com/ScarletSummerXX. ManyVids, I'm on ManyVids of Scarlet Summer as well. Basically, I think that's the long and short of it. I'm trying to think. I think I got a Facebook page too. Yeah, probably as long as you type in Scarlet Summer, I got YouTube. It's all over social media. But yeah, the users that are mainly important are my Snapchat and my Instagram and my Twitter. Snapchat, Scarlet Summer 5. Twitter is Scarlet Summer XX, and Instagram is Smokin' without a G, so SMOKIN Scarlet.
Awesome.
And I think that's basically it.
And then you can find this podcast on mixmasterb.com or on MixmasterB TV on YouTube. Scarlet, is there anything that you want to let the fans know before we get out of here. I mean, open forum, platform, anything you want to tell the fans.
Well, I do want to say thank you, first of all, for like reaching out and having me on here. It was an awesome experience. You're super sweet to talk to, and I'm glad that I got to change your presumed opinion of me. But I also want to say just happy 420. I hope everybody gets lit and they also get fucked good or doing the good fucking. But yeah, thank you just for having me, and I hope you guys, if you like, I love to chat with people on my stuff. You don't always have to be a paying subscriber. Obviously, that helps. But if you ever want to ask me a question or anything on my platforms, I'm always here. And if any girls are looking at getting started and stuff, feel free to hit me up, and I'll set you up with some tips.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's about it, I think. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. We wish you all the success in the world. We definitely got to have you back on the podcast again. Like, totally super chill chick. Definitely changed my perspective on, on what Canada's like and, people that celebrate 420. So it's been really awesome talking to you. And again, we can't wait to see and hear and view more amazing things from you.
Thank you. You're fucking awesome. Hey guys, it's your favorite snap slut, Scarlet Summer, and I'm here listening to Mixmaster B on MMB.